All right. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Certainly hope the sound is a little bit better today. I've been messing around with it, and certainly go ahead and, if you don't mind, hit the like button as you come in. I'm going to be here for a little short discussion on Phil Spencer and the pivoting to the multiplayer, and also just how some of these sorry saps are coping, I should say. They're coping with what Microsoft is doing because of the change, and they don't like it. And I certainly hope that we can alleviate a few things today in what they're trying to do. And just want to give a big shout out to everybody who will be here now, be here later. Make sure you hit the like button. Also, make sure you check out 60 Frames No Lag. Had a good time on there. Had a special guest on there. Won't spoil it, but hopefully you all go check it out. And so we'll get right into it. I want to give a shout out again to Porter Rock, Extreme, everybody that came through 60 Frames No Lag. Also, a big shout out to everybody that's gaming, everybody that's just having fun. Whether you're playing Rise of Ronin, whether you're playing golly, what else is coming out here? Rise of Ronin, Dragon's Dogma, Stellar Blade, which is the demo hits in the next 48 hours. There's just going to be a demo, and Not sure. They say that if you save it, it'll carry over. So we'll have to wait and see what we get and whether they've changed the demo from the first time it leaked. Because I got home from work and I tried to download it. I'm like, it's not here. What are you all talking about? And then there were people playing in the middle of it, and they took it down. So they being Sony. And so we'll have to wait and see how that turns out. But it did kind of let everybody know there was going to be a demo. And here we are 2 weeks later. Demo will be here on Friday. I think it drops at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So 1 p.m. my time. I'll be at work, and it'll give me something to play on Friday night. So besides watch Law and Order. So like I said, my girl will be at work. So, but all right, then we'll go ahead and kick it on this. So I just want to go ahead and talk about, give you my 2 cents on the Xbox pivot and how the fanboys are coping. Now, what I am seeing with the fanboys coping is, we'll keep it clean for you at work here. Post up is little Rodney's son, okay? But we'll keep it clean here. It's not going to be no cheek busting today. But so what I am seeing is the way they're coping with what Microsoft is doing is they're just saying that, well, everybody's going to do it. I heard somebody saying that, well, this is the way the industry's going. Everything's not gonna be on one box. But you know, they're implying that they're looking at what, and M said this last night. Just because Microsoft is changing doesn't mean it's changing for Nintendo or Sony. And I'm just seeing this coping mechanism come in on, well, everybody's doing this, so since everybody's doing this, it's okay. You know, it's a way for them to move the goalposts. Now, this is the same group of people that just a year ago was saying how important exclusivity is, and it's good that Starfield is exclusive and Redfall's exclusive, whatever, you know, Microsoft Flight Sim, things like that. All right, so just it's a coping mechanism. I heard somebody podcasting today talking about this, and you got to understand the people that are podcasters that they pay their bills off of podcasting. They cannot have a situation that's happening right now, whereas that, you know, there's no reason to buy an Xbox. I traded my Xbox in because it was like for me personally, I was only playing a bunch of old games. That's all I was doing. I was playing a bunch of old games. What's up, J-Ro? Appreciate your support. Since I was only playing old games, I was like, there's no reason for me to keep playing these old games, okay? A lot of these, like all the Assassin's Creed games, even Mirage, I've got that on PlayStation. I've got the other ones off of PlayStation. Is it Plus? When they come to Plus? So, there was no reason for me to play it now. The Xbox my TV has Dolby Vision, and Xbox supports Dolby Vision. I don't know if Sony does or not, but the games, those older games, did look really good. I cannot. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is one of the best looking games I've ever played. And you have to remember, it was up for Game of the Year in 2018. A lot of people forget about that. But, you know, you're having these people coping. You had Colt Eastwood attack a man whose wife has passed away. He still attacked him, and he said it came from anger. Like, and that just goes to show you that they do not like what Microsoft is doing. Like, they don't. And if you listen to guys like Colt Eastwood and Paris and Destin Legary, I think that's the way you pronounce his name. If you go back and find a videotape of them last year and play it, you wouldn't recognize them because they have done a total 180. And they're carrying this message of, well, the industry's changing. It's kind of like, okay, yeah, it's becoming more mobile. And Phil Spencer brought up the fact that Gen Z isn't sitting down playing a bunch of console games, and they're not. They're out there, which they should be. They're outside, and they'll play mobile games on anywhere. They'll be at a bus stop playing mobile games. They play Monopoly Go. I don't know if you all seen that. My girlfriend just picked up Monopoly Go, and she's loving it. It's a mobile game. So she likes that and Candy Crush and stuff like that. So, but she's playing it with like 3 or 4 of her friends. And And yeah, it has microtransactions in it and things like that. Again, I don't mind microtransactions. That's just my official statement on it. I've always had microtransactions when I played. I just made one the other day when I bought F15E for DCS. That was a microtransaction. I didn't do one for Spider-Man. I don't plan on doing one, but I did one for Mass Effect. Everything that you all have in the Legendaries Edition was sold separately. All of it. I mean, it was all sold separately. So, and it, the Zaid Masani mission, the Kim, I can't think of her name, Kasumi, that mission, that was all DLC. The Lair of the Shadow Broker, that was a microtransaction DLC. So, I don't mind them. I understand it's a way for the developer to make some extra money, and I don't mind helping developers. So kind of back to what I was talking about. Just imagine all this happening. And I'll bring up I'm not going to bring up one person. Everybody knows who I'm talking about. But I was listening to J-Tech the other day. And now that the console war is over, what are these guys going to do? I mean, I know they'll play games. But there's nothing left to talk about. It's just a matter of time before these games hit. And there's a couple more coming at the end of this year because Sony's the one selecting these games. I've heard the big one is going to be Microsoft Flight Sim that's coming to PlayStation with VR support. So we'll have to wait and see how that turns out. And but I'm seeing things from the PS5 Pro is not needed. Well, the only thing that's needed is sunlight, water, and oxygen. That's it. And food. You don't need a whole lot of stuff. And number 5, we're going to add in chocolate thunder busting cheeks. So you just need 5 things to survive. So is the Pro necessary? No. I mean, the Pro hasn't even been announced by Sony. It has not been announced by Sony. But these guys are now, and I'm telling you what's going to happen is if and when this Pro comes out, you will see people like Digital Foundry. Hopping on to say it's not that big of a difference. That's what they're going to say. Because ultimately, what they're fighting against is the separation of the community. A bunch of haves and have-nots. That's what they're trying to prevent. And that's what's starting to happen. And that's why these guys didn't go out and buy games. I said this on 60 Frames No Lag. I said I just don't know why these cats didn't go out and buy games. And why they thought sales weren't. And they were literally online saying sales are not important. Which is really jacked up because now you have developers skipping the Xbox. And you have people making excuses. Well, it's just they're small developers and things like that. No, I mean, it starts there, but we know where this ends up. And I was told that Grand Theft Auto 6 could skip Xbox. Hey, that's what I was told. They could skip it with this ridiculous rule of no curvy people, with this real small install base. Xbox allegedly going to put Epic and Steam on its console. What's the point of having the console when all that stuff is on PC? All of it. I can download the Epic Store right now. There's nothing preventing me from, because it's free to download. And they give you free games. I can download the Steam app right now. And it's free. So there's literally no reason to buy a Xbox, unfortunately. Now, if you still want one, I'm not telling you not to buy it, but I just don't see what the point is at this juncture in time. Unless you are a collector. Like, shout out to J-Dub. He buys all the consoles. He buys everything. All the VR systems, he has it. So you're a collector, I understand. So where are we with all this? Well, you have a group of fanboys upset. One, they don't have nothing else to talk about. Console war is over. You know when J-Tech is saying the console war is over, it's over. Now, I've said it's been over since 2021. Late 2021 is when it was over. But nobody wanted to listen. Everybody wanted, all right, is that there? Okay. Well, now here you are, Somebody said lights out and Chocolate Thunder was standing there. So we know how that ended up for you. We know how it ended up. All right. So, but what comes next for Xbox? What comes next for these fanboys? Well, the fanboys are already coping. They're saying things like, everybody's doing this. You're not going to see any exclusivity anymore. Everybody's buying a PC, which is not true. That's simply not true. I'm in the PC community, and most people are not buying PCs. But you need to understand Microsoft's whole goal from the beginning. It was to get you to go to PC. They don't want to make the SKUs anymore. Now, do I think they're making a handheld? Yeah, I've said that. The handheld will be competing with the Steam Deck and the ROG. I hope I'm saying that right. And it's going to have the fact that they're getting Steam support and Epic support. That's what's going to make it stand out. And it will be at 1080p or 1440p. It's going to be a pretty nice handheld. And this is what that's why they said they're dedicated to the hardware space and things like that. This is what they're talking about. They still don't know if they're going to make another Xbox. And as far as a console, doesn't mean that they won't. I don't think Phil Spencer has sent his design team home, but the tablet people, the Surface people, Windows Surface people, they're the ones making your handheld. So we'll have to wait and see how that turns out. But Xbox pivoting to full multiplayer based on what Phil Spencer said is exactly what we told you. Like, first it was no games, then it was like, oh, it's only 4. Actually, it's about 5 or 6 at this point in time. More are coming. If you all don't believe me, just sit back and wait. More games are coming, and more bigger games are coming. The 2 Ori games, they're coming. So that'll probably be the next shoe to drop. Ori's already on Nintendo. And like Phil Spencer said, a lot of people are not going to like it. And that is true. A lot of people don't like it. And that's why you're seeing this. You're hearing people and seeing people, you're hearing people say what they're saying, and it's really sad because what are they going to do with their channels? You can't talk about the console war anymore. It's over. I mean, it'd be like console warring against Activision or console warring against Ubisoft, Ubisoft, did you all see that Star Wars game is about to be rated, and I think Microsoft has the rights to it. What do you want to call it? Not publishing, but they have rights to it to do the commercials and things like that. So if so, then congratulations to them. Because I'm tired of people saying, well, they don't get these deals, they don't get marketing deals. Like, no, the Star Wars stuff, they pretty much are on top of that. They pretty much are on top of the Star Wars stuff, whether it's Jedi Survivor or this new Star Wars game coming out, which I'm going to buy day one because I like Star Wars games anyway. But what I'm really trying to get across here is what is going through these guys' mind, and it is that you have people saying that Xbox ain't going nowhere. They're still going to make games for Xbox. Yeah, they are, but it's not going to be as many. And so we have to understand that right there. My biggest thing this generation, and shout out to the late, great Optimus Code, rest in peace, no doubt, is when he went on multiple podcasts and told them that them having the Series S was going to cause a problem. And these guys kept saying things like, oh, they'll just scale. And he's like, that's not the way it works. But they didn't want to believe him. And now here we are. And the third thing I want to bring up is whatever happened to the RDX podcast? Like, I'm asking an open-ended question at this point. What happened to RDX? They have not podcast I've heard in like 90 days. And I was also told it's now defunct, that Dealer is not coming back. So that strong Christian white man Dealer is not coming. That's what I was told. So that he was done podcasting because other stuff had happened. Other things were going on. So, but I'm just I'm trying to get you all to understand that this pivot is by Microsoft. It is a major pivot. Sony's, I went back, somebody posted something about all the PS3 games Sony had that were games as a service, and they brought up a bunch of games, SOCOM 3 and 4, MAG, the Resistance games, which again, you have to remember, I didn't have a PS3. Drive Club, I said Resistance already. There was another one, Killzone. Again, these were gas games. So, and that was in the PS3. Now in the PS4, they cut it down a little bit. You know, the Final Fantasy games, is it 12? Whatever the Final Fantasy online game is, they were big supporters of that. They even wanted crossplay, and it was Microsoft that turned them down. So Sony has always had games as a service they wanted to do it because the IP was there. They backed the IP. However, the people on the PS3, for whatever reason, didn't support it. And I remember I did not have a PS3. So what did Sony do? They doubled down on their first party games. And that's what I would have done. You know, and they doubled down on the second and third party deals. I think Resistance, Fall of Man, I think that's an Insomniac game, I think. And if it is, Insomniac at the time was what? A third party developer. Same with Kojima. Kojima, I don't think did Metal Gear. So again, they doubled and tripled down on exclusive content. That's what brought them back from the brink. Metal Gear 4, The Last of Us Part 1, Uncharted 2 and 3 brought them back from the brink. So when they get to PS4, they double down on that. I hope, and they shrink the games as a service. Now PS5, they go back to what they already did with PS3. We got 5 games as a service. 3 of them are out. MLB The Show. Sony considers that a game as a service because it has microtransactions. Gran Turismo Sport and Gran Turismo 7, now Gran Turismo Sport I think doesn't work anymore. Or they did something with it. So Gran Turismo 7, you've now got Helldivers 2. You're about to get Concord. Marathon comes out next year. That's 5 right there. That's 5 out of the quote 6 games that are coming. And you have Foam Stars, and people forgot about Foam Stars. Make sure you get the likes up, people. So that's what so again, I don't see, and this is why I agree with M last night. It wasn't because Gaz is an Xbox guy. It was that what Gaz said, that this whole thing is an industry pivot. That's simply not true. I mean, but that's part of the coping mechanism that these guys have developed. And that's what they're going to keep doing to help themselves through this. You know, it's the stages of grief. We've done this before. If you all don't know I think it's 5 stages of grief. Let's see here. Whoops. 5. Okay. So now we're going to go to healgrief.org. So that you all can understand where we're at with this. And you all can see this. I'm going to put it up on the screen for you. This is so you all can actually physically see this, because this is a real health care thing. So let me blow that up for you. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. So remember the denial. They're not going to do that. They're not going to put their IP on PlayStation. That was denial. Okay? Then it actually happened, all right? And they got angry, all right? So you're seeing this in real time. You're seeing the 5 stages in real time. So they've already been in denial. This is the denial, okay? Then you see the anger. Maybe you remember somebody saying it should be criminal that Rebirth, Final Fantasy Rebirth, is not on PlayStation, even though Final Fantasy Crisis Core, which if you have Plus, you can go ahead and download that for that trial if you have Plus Premium like I do. Why did this happen? Who's to blame? That's the anger. You know, it's like Phil failed us. This is terrible. We don't like the CFO. I can't think of his name right now. Bargaining. bargaining. Make this not happen, and I will blah blah blah. I mean, all right. So if they're going to do this, they cannot do this. If they do, I'm going to get rid of my Xbox. I'm going to stop supporting Xbox. Okay, and okay. So then we get to depression, which is where they're at right now. Okay, where they're at right now is this part here. I can't bear this. I'm too sad to do anything. That's where they are right now. Depression. All right. So the next stage is acceptance, which is, and this is what Phil Spencer was saying. I acknowledge that this has happened and I cannot change it. So this is where Phil Spencer, when he did that interview, he was saying, look, they have accepted, Microsoft has accepted that the exclusive stuff is not going to work for them. Okay. Now, I want to make this clear, and they make it clear here, that you may not go in this order. Because I've seen people accept something first. Remember, I worked in hospice, and then they get angry over what's happening to them. Okay, I've seen it happen. They get a diagnosis. They'll start to bargain. They'll get angry. Then that will lead to depression. And then then you'll hear a lot of things, and like maybe there'll be a miracle or something like that. And this is the way people cope. And that's what you're seeing right now. But they've actually done this in order. I mean, they did this in order. And, when Phil Spencer came out there on that stage and said, well, it's just these 4 games. But then he literally 3 hours later did another interview and said something to the effect that, I'm paraphrasing Phil Spencer. He said, well, we can't rule out any game. And the reason he said that is because he's not in charge of this. If Satya Nadella, his boss, who's the boss of all of them, whether it's Windows 10, whether it's the Surface tablet, he's the boss of bosses. So again, they kick up to him. Okay? Phil Spencer would be a capo. Okay? Phil kicks up to him. Okay? Well, Phil's on the board, and Satya Nadella is the president. So I believe that he's president, CEO, something like that. So, you've seen this shock and disbelief. Okay. This is also part of the grief process. They're in shock. They can't believe this is happening. Sadness. We've seen this. All right. Anger. Fear. What's going to happen? Physical pain, I don't know if we'll ever get that. So, but this is a good read if you want to understand what's happening to them. And I'm not doing this to make fun of people. Okay? I'm not saying these things to make fun of people. I'm just letting you know where they are. Right now, they're in depression. The vast majority of them are in depression. So, when you listened to Gaz last night, that was depression. Okay? That was depression. You heard you had a why did this happen? Who's to blame? Well, they told you. Gen Z did not go out and buy games. For whatever reason, Gen Z did not go out and buy games. Now, my belief is that they are under this assumption that things should just be done for them. Because they want to participate. And this is a generation that got a bunch of participation trophies when they were kids. Okay, they don't understand what it's like to lose. They don't know this. So, and it's also kind of bleeds over into the PlayStation Pro and people saying, well, it's not needed. Well, nothing is needed except food, water, shelter. And let me just show you what's needed. We can actually go to another thing. Let's see here. I don't have it up here. We're going to look at Maslow's hierarchy. This is the hierarchy of needs. Let's see here. Let's see if we can put this on the screen. Here's it. Here's it. You need food, you need water, warmth, and rest. These are things you actually have to have. Okay? There's nothing that says PlayStation 5 Pro. But these are basic needs. And you have 6 of them. You need security, safety. You need food in your belly. You need some type of water to help keep you going. You need to stay warm, and you need to be able to rest. And you need to do all this in safety. So anything else is just, these are your needs. So nothing on this chart says you need a PlayStation 5 Pro. But the way technology works, and I think Sean Layton said this, which is that if you don't want to be the people making the typewriter or something like that, it was something like that. You don't want to, you ought to always be trying to do stuff, or else you'll end up being the guy that created the typewriter. Chris Coleman's in the house, says Fair Games is supposed to come this year too if it keeps its schedule. Foam Stars may not count since it's Square Enix game and doesn't have the PS Studios intro. Well, I mean, but my point is that it's part of the games as a service push. But no, I'm not just talking about first party games. But yeah, all right, say Fair Games comes out. I mean, even if it doesn't, if it comes out early 2025, right? That will be, and again, you'll get another MLB. So, and then Gran Turismo will get another update. So, I'm just saying that damn. That where we're kind of at with this is that my belief, and I notice I don't say the term we, I always say me. My belief is that you have a group of people who feel like they're being separated. And because there's separation going on within the community, they don't want that. Because again, they don't, and I'm telling you the truth, guys, they don't, because when I talk to you all, I understand that I'm very privileged what I have. I mean, I've got 2 PlayStation 5s, I got a PC, a gaming PC, I've got to upgrade my gaming PC, I have all the parts I need, and I have an OLED, and I have a brand new monitor, okay? So I'm blessed, I'm privileged, and what I'm hearing is they're literally, this is what I am translating. They're literally saying I can't afford to go buy a PS5 Pro, and therefore one is not needed. That's it. Now, I will give all developers leeway when they say something like, well, we haven't even maxed out the PS5. But again, that's not Sony's fault you haven't done that. Sony's not going to wait on developers to max out PS5. They go by the first party developers, and the first party developers have maxed out PS5. You don't believe me? You can play Spider-Man in 4K 60 with ray tracing. That's pretty maxed out. You can play The Last of Us Part 2 at 4K and ultra graphics. You can play The Last of Us Part 1 in 4K with ultra graphics. So, I mean, you can. And again, they're not, the second and third party studios are the last ones that are going to make any kind of decision anyway, because they're second and third party. That's reality. I mean, hopefully you guys can understand that. This has nothing to do with Square Enix. It has nothing to do with Rockstar Games. It has nothing to do with Ubisoft. Yes, it's not that they don't get dev kits and they don't get a seat at the table, but that's after Sony first party has met and said, yeah, here's what we want to see what we can push this technology. So if it's a pro and it is what they're saying it is, you're going to get better upscaling than you got right now. And instead of a game being 1440p, it will output at 1440p, but it will be upscale higher. Whether that higher is 1800p or 2160p or even 8K, that remains to be seen. That remains to be seen. Yeah, Mario, he says add cheeks to the basic needs. Yeah. Actually, the cheeks was the next one up. Under psychological. The need for intimate relationships. That also means cheeks. So, somebody says he believes Starfield is going to run 60 FPS on PS5. Well, I mean, wouldn't that be something else if it did? I mean, I would be rolling on the floor if that happened. Like rolling on the floor. So, but in theory, that could happen with a pro. They could just say, okay, in this pro mode, we got you at 60 frames per second, but they also have more overhead, right? They've got 60 CUs and 30 teraflops. So allegedly. But, I'm wanting to relay this because what I am seeing and hearing is just a bunch of anger and bargaining. Like, I can't believe this is happening. Why is this happening? Microsoft doing this, and we went to the parties and we went to the right places, and they told us this and they told us that, and I shook Phil's hand and I played NBA 2K with Phil Spencer, and it's all kind of stuff that just makes no sense to me as a business. It's like, okay, what does this have to do with the business side of it? And you all not, feeling some type of entitlement that you don't have to go buy anything, because the companies are greedy and they should take less. I've never heard in a for-profit economy. We are in a free market economy. It's a democracy. We have a free market economy. Ain't nobody talking about what you're not supposed to make. I saw that the Dollar Tree store, it could go up in price again because all these people are shopping there now, and they're saying, well, it's because everything is real expensive at Target and Walmart because everybody's stealing from there. So I'm just saying, yeah, Chocolate Thunder said a whole slate, and I think you're going to get about 80 to 85% of it. I don't know if you'll get the whole slate, but I'm telling you that when I listened to some podcasters today, them saying that, this is the way things are going to go for everybody. No, it's not. Nintendo's not pivoting to put games on PC day and day. They're not doing that. Sony's not doing that. Is Sony going to put games in cloud? Yeah. How do we know? They bought a company to help run the cloud. Actually, was it Savage Game? They bought something. The company that makes Stellar Blade, that company, they made phone games, and then they built Project Eve after they pitched it, and they were like, and Sony was like, okay, build us a demo. And that demo is what we're about to play. Okay, they built a demo and it went on a PS5 kit, and it is what it is. So it is what it is. One Trick Pony said Chocolate Thunder wants his bunkie to pivot cheeks this. Okay. Oh man, y'all are too much. Shout out to Michael. Says I bought my second PS5 on PlayStation Direct and financed it through Klama with zero. Yeah. I walked into Best Buy with my new Capital One credit card, and that's the story I told you guys about. I need a PS5 Slim, and they brought me a PS5 Digital. I'm like, no, I need the Slim. Then he bought me a Slim, but it was a Spider-Man one. I'm like, all right, you got one that looks like that? It says Call of Duty 3 or Modern Warfare 3, and he brought me that one. So it took like 3 chances, but I got it in. I got it out of the store, and I walked home with it like an idiot. So, but nobody knocked me over the head. So Nintendo don't want you to emulate their games. It's not that. It's just my whole point is that if the industry was shifting, we're talking about an industry shift. Like in Hollywood, they went away from practical effects to CGI. That was an industry shift. But the fact that, say, Christopher Nolan films on 70 millimeter, I think IMAX, that's Christopher Nolan doing that. There's no industry shift. People aren't doing that. Remember the big run on 3D? And then 3D came out and came home, and people bought, like myself, bought 3D TVs. There was no shift. That lasted about 2.5 years. And then and then the curved TVs, remember that? And then that changed. Now we have curved monitors and things like that. But not every monitor or TV that comes out is curved. If the industry had shifted, that's what would have happened. I think what you're looking at is an industry niche. And Microsoft doing what they're doing, I got no problem with what Microsoft is doing because they're doing what's best for them. Sony's going to do what's best for them, and Nintendo will do what's best for them. So, and I think Xbox will always be around. It's always been here. It's been here over 20 years, so it's been here almost half my life. I still remember where I lived at on that Sunday when I took my PS2 and 10 games to EB Games and traded it in my PS2 and bought the Xbox, the good old-fashioned, the original Xbox. I think Nintendo will put games on PCs. Again, I didn't say they were. I said that if it was an industry shift, you would be seeing that. That's all I'm saying. So this is what kind of M and Gaz got into it. They're back and forth last night. When you throw away all the bravado and all that kind of stuff, it was just Gaz is trying to bargain and say, well, everybody's doing this. And what M was saying, that's Extreme. What he was saying, not Eminem, what Extreme was saying is, I agree with, it's not a industry shift, it's a Microsoft shift. That is what I think is going on myself, because I'm not seeing a big enough pull from everybody else that's doing it. Am I seeing them putting more games? Yeah, Sony said that a year and a half ago. We're going to put more games on mobile. We're looking at the cloud-based gaming. If you don't understand cloud-based gaming, your PS5 and you have PlayStation Plus Premium, you can stream games. That is cloud, okay? The fact that you can stream at 4K, 60, depending on your internet, that's what they're talking about, a bigger investment. What's up, Paul Game? What's going on? Just because, you're right, Mario. Just because Xbox is doing it doesn't mean the whole industry is. You're correct. That's what their debate was about last night. It was. Gez was saying that he was literally saying that, well, the whole industry's shifting. So that's a way to cope with what Microsoft is doing. Just say, well, everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing it. So it's like, all right. I'll bring up something off topic, but it relates to this. The actor and director and producer, Michael B. Jordan, is single. There's this black-owned publication, I think, called The Root. I think that's what it's called. The women of The Root wrote an article saying Michael B. Jordan should date these black women. Now, all these black women that they named were baby mamas, and 2 of them were divorced. So, but when you look at the black community, most black women are baby mamas. So, of course, they're going to bargain and say, well, because the majority are baby mamas, that should be okay. And this is the same thing. They don't like what Microsoft is doing. And instead of them going and moving to acceptance and still playing the games, you're hearing things like, well, we're not going to talk about it till it happens, which they're not saying it's not going to happen. Mario, he says, Gen Z are buying PS5 games. Yes, but not in the same bulk as Gen X, which was PS3, and even the millennials who are trash, but that was PS4. That console was driven by millennials. So, and that's why it became so successful, is because you had Gen X and the millennials combined to go out and buy PS4s. Now, everybody's buying the Nintendo console because you got people that have grown up playing games. Now they have kids and they want their kids to have something. And everybody remembers Nintendo. It's like a friend of mine. He's a grandfather now. He bought his grandson a Nintendo Switch. He's 9 years old. Grandson loves it. Parents don't like it because he won't go outside. But there needs to be a cheeks pyramid. We ought to make a chocolate thunder pyramid. Rule number 1, you got to be a pretty man. First part of the pyramid. But the way pyramids are built, the bottom is the most important. So Phil's saying that Starfield is not part of the 4 games. He never said it, never coming. Oh, I agree. I agree, because it's not up to Phil Spencer. People got to understand, Phil Spencer works for somebody else. He has a boss. And if his boss wants it to come, or Paul's, or his boss wants it to be on PlayStation, it's going to be on PlayStation. They're going to literally say, call up Sony, let's start porting, and let's see what Sony would like. So the Gaz is just a grifter. Oh, well, I wouldn't say that about him. I mean, let's be nice here. He saw Super Chat money in the community and switched to Oh no, not another person with his doing a dono war. Speaking of dono wars, make sure you donate a like. That's all we're asking for right here. Grown ass man, don't need your money. So please donate a like and a share. It's free. Go ahead, like and a share. Shout out to Hero Down Under. Said his wife bought our son a Switch 3 years ago, and it's good to have a Nintendo in the house, even though we don't use it much. Oh, okay. Well, remember, yeah, everybody, at least in the United States, at one point in, I think, 1987, 1 out of 4 homes had a Nintendo console. 1 out of 4. It was either 1 out of 4 or 1 out of 5. It was an insane amount of people that had them. And that's what led to the Sega. You know, that led us to where we are now. Sega comes out. And remember, this is all Japanese stuff. Americans, we were still going to arcades. We were still going to the arcades and plunking quarters into Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat and, all those games. Cruising USA, all those games. You know, the Firefox game, the Alien game. We were going to arcades. We weren't really gaming. There were no U.S. companies. And then Microsoft, came out and did what they did with the Xbox, which everybody really enjoyed. I enjoyed my Xbox. That's why when I bought the series, I'm still searching for that Xbox 360 feeling, standing in line at Walmart, and I look back on it now and I'm like, man, I was a clown, but I had fun. I stood at Walmart from 3:30 p.m. all the way to midnight in line. I was number 37. I still remember I was number 37 in line. Here come the news crews interviewing us like, well, are you all going to go to work in the morning? I'm like, well, I had to get the day off. So, so I did my thing. So Famicom was your first yeah, see, we had ColecoVision in the 80s. We had Intellivision, and Nintendo came and crushed them all. Nintendo came and crushed everything. So, but Intellivision had B-17 Bomber. I still remember that. It was talking. It was like they would show commercials for that, and it was like, my goodness gracious. And of course, you go ask your mom and dad to buy it. They were like, no, we have an Atari. Ah! So, well, I don't think Xbox games, all of them suck. The Xbox has always been a niche console. And it just always has been. And they caught lightning in a bottle with the 360. And so if you grew up, just imagine being 13 years old and getting an Xbox 360 and then playing nothing but 360 games with your friends online, put on a headset, calling it a B2, and you stayed with Xbox through the Jolly Green Giant, and now you're here and you're finally getting games, but she done bent over for somebody else and they getting the same thing. What's up, Kenneth? Oh, this is starting to land the plane here. This Xbox pivoting to multiplayer. There's a poll up. Are you all surprised with what Phil Spencer did? And the vast majority is no, you're not surprised. And that's about right. That's about right. Microsoft has no strategy. They are trying to do multiple things at once. Well, I think we're seeing their strategy now, which is they pivoted to being a publisher. That's the strategy. And again, I don't have an issue with what they're doing. I want to make that clear. I'm not somebody who's pounding my fist. Part of me wants to say, ha, 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 I told you guys this was going to happen. I thought it would be Game Pass coming, but Sony doesn't want that. So what's the next best thing that Microsoft can do? Okay, well, Microsoft says, well, let's just bring a handful of games over at a time. Sony's like, okay. That's it. And these games that are coming over are not a threat to anything that Sony has. Now, once you start getting into the bigger ones, which are coming, okay? Once you start getting into the bigger ones, you're going to start seeing a lot of people go through more angrier than they are right now. You have people who have podcasts who are trying to bargain with as well. You saw the bargaining up there. Well, this is the way the industry is going. That's bargaining. As you all pointed out in the chat, just because Microsoft is doing something doesn't mean other people are going to do it. You're not wrong. but you're looking at it with a fresh eye. These guys are actually coping with the stages of grief. Because if you built a podcast on console warring, what are you going to talk about? Consoles have reached a cap? No, they have not. They have not. They're still selling. Now, if you want to say, are they? I still think the cap is 85 million. That's where I think they go. And again, if there is a PS5 Pro, they're going to sell at least 10 to 12 million of those. So whatever Sony has out right now, add 12 million. What are they at? About 55 million. So I think we get to 70 million if they did a Pro. So Marvin Gaming going, oh, y'all are terrible. Stop it. Stop it. There ain't nothing. It's something to be said about working for yourself. Now, I don't listen to him, but yeah, I mean, because I can't. I can't. It's too much flip flopping, and I mean, when I cook fish on the grill, you all know if you cook on the grill, you cook fish on the grill, charcoal, how fast fish cooks. I mean, you got to wrap it up real good, and you're constantly turning it. That's what he does. Dude went from saying, Microsoft has Sony right where they wanted them on a Monday. Then this news came out about Microsoft putting games on. And the very next day, he was like, oh, I can't believe it. And like, wait a minute. Ain't you the same man who was just sitting here saying that Sony's in a bad position? I mean, I can't. I can't do it. I can't do it. So that's just me. They're going through denial and well, I wouldn't call it battered wife syndrome. That is a medical definition. They are a lot of them are in denial. A lot of them, like Tim Dog, went through the whole thing. If you want to really know, Tim Dog went through the anger. He went through the disbelief. That when he did that whole 4 hours on 5 hours on what was it called? Shoot Fire. Spaces. He went through all of it right there in front of you. And at the end, what was he saying? I've accepted this is what they're doing. When he was on Next Gen show, I think he says I've accepted what they've done. When he was on BRAP, again, it was I've accepted this is what Microsoft is doing and things like that. So he went through the entire state. I'm not saying it to be funny. You actually saw it happen in real time. That's what you're seeing now. You saw Gaz or Jet, whatever, I can't remember his name. He literally sat there and was like, well, the pivot, there's a big old pivot. No, 6 to 7, I don't see where the pivot is, but that's just me. Okay, somebody wants to leave a comment saying, here's where they pivoted. They didn't like the direction Jim Ryan was going, trying to take them. So they just said, okay, we're still going to do games as a service, but we're not going to do as many as Jim Ryan wanted. That's the truth. So if they would have said, we're going to shoot with the heck with 12, we're going to do 16. And they still have games they can do. They can still do MAG. They can still do Resistance. They can still do SOCOM. So that right there is 3 more games that could come out, between 25 and 27. I'm just putting it out there. I'm just getting it ready. Don Draper says the real news is that Microsoft is doing something about Windows on gaming handhelds. Well, I mean, we'll have to wait and see about the handhelds. I know, I was going to say Review Tech, Red Tech Gaming or Red Gaming Tech. He said it was real, but then he had a question mark and exclamation point. That means that he doesn't have hard pause. He doesn't have strong sourcing on it. He may have 1 or 2, but I mean, he's usually spot on with this stuff, and I give him credit because before Tom Warren or this guy online, whatever it was, broke the PS5 Pro specs, he was saying this is what they're doing. He just didn't have clock speeds. And it's like with me, I knew they were working on something, but I didn't know clock speeds, and I was told 16.6. Well, 16.6 times 2 is 32.33, and that's what we're going to get. I was just told based on 1 point, not a float point. So yeah, my source was wrong, but not really, but okay. So The audio of Meat Mills and P. Diddy. Oh my goodness, y'all are silly. So what is going on with P. Diddy? He's one of the top producers. Him and Dr. Dre, two of the best producers in the last 40 years. And, that's crazy. That is crazy. So why did it take Tim Dog so long to realize Xbox is a sinking ship? It's simply because Tim Dog, like other people, was in a parasocial relationship with Microsoft. That's it. And this is not about making fun of Tim Dog. Shout out to Tim Dog. He was actually really hurt when Microsoft did what they did. And if it was just 4 games, I don't think he would have taken it as hard. But he told me on Twitter that, or X or whatever you want to call it, he flat told me that Hellblade 2 was coming to PlayStation. Hellblade 2, he didn't say anything about Indiana Jones, but he did say Hellblade 2. And I was told 85% of what Microsoft is going to have is going to come over. It's just what they're going to do is say, okay, we're going to put it on Game Pass first. It may stay on Game Pass for 2 years and then finally get ported over to PlayStation. Why did it take him so long? Because he was again, it wasn't just him. D-Batch was in the same type of relationship. Jez Gordon is in the same type of relationship. So again, by default, they become toxic to everybody around them. That's just a byproduct of what's happening with them. Let's see here. So that's why it took Tim Dog a long time. Shout out to J-Ro for the $2. I appreciate it. It goes to the new case. That goes to the new computer case. I almost went out and bought, is this a good one? An i5 and a 4060 or 4070. It's like $1,400. That doesn't include the monitor. I already have the monitor. I might just get that and take this stuff to PC Pit Stop and be like, yeah, look, I'm selling this. All of it, $300 out the door. So, but yeah, I just mean that's kind of where we're at with this, and it's unfortunate that you have this whole notion that well, everybody's doing this and things like that, and so it's like, okay, well, I mean, how long have we been saying that and it's not happening? And I want to make clear I don't have an issue with what Microsoft is doing. So, but yeah. Any other questions or comments? Just wanted to have that little short discussion with you guys. Shout out to 60 Frames No Lag. Make sure you go listen to it. So, let's see here. I'm just saying that if I miss any other comments or questions. Mario, he says Nintendo spans 3 generations or more. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're looking at how many families are born in 3 generations. If a generation's 25 years. I still remember playing Duck Hunt with my mom. Like, when I got done with my homework and we ate dinner, my mom would come upstairs and we would play Duck Hunt on this little bitty 24-inch screen Zenith TV. And then she would play for about a half hour. And then, she would play for a half hour. Then I would play Mario. That's why I'm tired of platformers. I grew up playing Mario. Then I played Sonic. So, yeah, J-Roll says TI and Atari 2600. Yeah, I had an Atari 2600. We had about 9 games for it. Asteroids, Space Invaders, Missile Command, had all that. Pac-Man. We had all the Demons to Diamonds. The worst game ever, E.T., my God, the worst game in history. Oh, yeah. Shout out to J-Ro, just gifted a membership. Oh, wait a minute, isn't that called a one bomb? So, J-Ro with the one bomb, I appreciate it. To Pedro Martin, appreciate you. So, new member here. Now we talking. I like it. Phil Bosch says, do you think we'll see DLC for Spider-Man 2 before or after the summer show? I think it is. I was surprised it wasn't announced today because Marvel announced some stuff today, game-wise. I think we'll get it at a summer showcase. I think that we're due because that's why I like the release of the other one more because the DLC came out. It was just part of it. And but yeah, that game was Spider-Man 2 is a long game. It took me, I don't know, 30 plus hours to beat that game. And I mean, now granted, I only played it on the weekends, like Saturdays when I would do my podcast. Then I would go ahead and play Spider-Man from 11 till like 12:30, 1 o'clock. So, the take on the rumor of Xbox trying to bring Steam and to their console, it's probably true. It's probably true. They've been wanting to get Steam for a while, just to come and put. And that's why I've said at that point, just get a PC, just sell your Xbox and get a PC. And Xboxes are on sale right now at GameStop, or the one around the corner from me, like 20 minutes to get there, give or take. They're on sale right now, used $349.99 for a used one. So I know and people are going to buy them. I know. Just waiting for 007 to drop. That's that's coming back. There's another Tomb Raider game coming out. We got 2 Star Wars games coming. We do. We got that. And look, that Captain America 1943 game, that looks really good too. So I certainly hope that it turns out well. So I'm excited for that. And of course, GTA 6. Who's not? Everybody's excited about GTA 6. It's been a decade. I mean, this is the longest between Grand Theft Autos, I think, ever. I think between 3 and 4, it was 6 years? Because I had Grand Theft Auto 3. I think it was called Welcome to Liberty City. I had Grand Theft Auto 3 back in 2000. Was it 2001? 2002? I think I bought it. Stellar Blade. Yeah, Stellar Blade's 48 hours away from the demo. 48 hours away. So we're going to all see. And I saw somebody with some demo stuff up today. I have to say that girl she had on like a skin suit. I don't know if you all saw that online. She had a skin suit on. That's exaggerated. And I know you cannot share pictures. At least I don't know how to share pictures on Twitter anymore. Like I just don't know, because, Sony and them got into it with Twitter or X and, blah, blah, blah. Now I can't share my screenshots. Or is there a way to share screenshots? And I just don't know how to do it. Somebody let me know. But yeah, it's it's that girl's exaggerated. I mean, she's a real woman. The body is that of a real woman, though. So can't say that it's bad. That's what she looks like. So, but they want to take their games off Steam if they add. No. I mean, it's I don't see how Steam being on Xbox helps. But it is what it is. It is what it is. It's just more of what they want to do. They being Microsoft want to do. So, I mean, which I don't blame them. The Rise of Ronin combat system is much more than Ghost. Well, again, you have to remember that studio that made Ghost Rise of Ronin, it's known for its performances and gameplay. That's what it's known for. They're not known as a graphic powerhouse. And again, I will speak for myself here. I don't expect a second or third party dev to have a game that looks as good as the first party. Even Sean Layton was saying that, okay? But I've been saying that for years. Like, the first party devs, they get in there, they cook. They're supposed to be able to show what can be done on the console versus what these other ones are just doing. That's why I'm like, well, I've heard people complain about the graphics, but I've never heard people say the gameplay is bad. I've never heard people say that. I've heard, all right, the graphics look redundant. Compared to what? Okay, Ghost of Tsushima, yeah, okay, fine. It's one of the best looking games made from last generation. And I double dipped. I bought the PS5 version of that game because it was only like $49.99. So the combat is better than Ghost. Still like Ghost more overall. Yeah, well, I've seen people playing. I'm like, all right, the combat looks a little more chaotic. Ghost of Tsushima was a little more set. But, yeah, Rise of Ronin, if they're Ronin by nature, it's supposed to be chaotic combat because they're Ronin. So they're outside of the system. They're outside of whatever's going on. So, but that's what Ghost of Tsushima is about, is that he drops being this upright, sturdy rules guy, following all these rules that the Shogun follow, and he became the ghost. He, in essence, became a ninja to help get his island back. So, yeah, it was, I thoroughly enjoyed Ghost of Tsushima. I wasn't going to buy that game until I saw the deep dive, and they were like, here's a stealth mission. He was dressed up like a ninja. I'm like, all right, well, and it showed that guy being scared of him. He was like, sometimes the ghost's reputation precedes itself, and people will be afraid of it. It showed that one guy like just dropping his sword and falling down. I'm like, oh, I'm buying this. I'm buying this because remember, I'm like, if it's just going to be open Shogun content, Shoguns didn't hide in the shadows. They were all out and about, being the pillars of the land. It was the ninjas that were the Ronin that were cheating and had stars and sides and things like that. So smoke bombs. You had all that in Ghost of Tsushima. Smoke bombs, fire bombs. That is cheating based on Shogun. That's why was it his grandfather was so upset with him at the end. It's like, I can't let you represent the family as a Ronin ninja. That's ultimately what they fought for. Now, I don't know what you all did in the Ghost of Tsushima, but you all, I chose to take him out. And I'm like, okay, I felt bad, but I'm like, this dude was trying to kill me, right? He's trying to kill Jin Sakai, I should say. And I decided to take him out. Now, the person who actually played Jin Sakai streamed the whole game. And when he got to that part, I watched him live and he let him go. He was like, I'll probably die from his wounds anyway, something like that. So, but yeah, I've not gotten Rise of Ronin yet, nor Dragon's Dogma yet. I know they're still trying to fix Dragon's Dogma. I'm hearing people say, well, I'm not going to buy another XYZ game opening. I'm like, well, that's part of being an early adopter. When you early adopt, you adopt the problems. But you early adopt to be able to say, I have that. Okay? Remember, my brother bought a sound bar. He bought an LG sound bar, and it wasn't acting right, and it had a high fail rate. They take it back to the store, and they're like, well, you're an early adapter. This is what happens. But, guys, it's 7:30. I'm going to get on up out of here. And unless there's any more questions about what we talked about, the Microsoft Pivot. Again, let me shut the poll down. 88% of you are not surprised of the pivot. That's the vast majority. It's almost 9 out of 10 are not surprised. I'm not surprised. I'm just it's been a slow walk for Phil Spencer because he cannot just come right out and say, here's what we're going to do. Here's what's happening. He's just not going to come out and say that. He should keep it 100%, but that's not what he is about. That's why people are now just saying, he's a liar and stuff like that. That's anger. You're a liar. I can't believe you did this. You're a liar. Why did you? I mean, that's anger coming at him, because they feel like they were hung out to dry. But I think one of the games Xbox will keep is Forza. Yeah. Well, I think Forza Motorsports will never come over. Horizon, possibly, because Horizon is an arcade type game, and it's not really a threat to Gran Turismo, which is a simulator. But Horizon, again, PlayStation has nothing like Gran Turismo Horizon on its system. I mean, maybe if you want to throw in that Ubisoft game, but it's I forgot the name of it. But that's a good game too. The Ubisoft game is a good game. Struggled this hard with Xbox. Yeah, everything else with Microsoft is fine. And I'm glad Phil Spencer said Xbox has got to make money. And the only way they're going to be able to make money, if you don't know this, is to put games everywhere so they can start recouping the money back. Yeah, that's what I and King Thrash and other people were saying. But I know me and King Thrash really held that flag, and we took our lumps, but we were correct. So there's no reason for us to lie to you. King Thrash, okay, behind all that bravado, he's a businessman. He is a businessman. So is Sick Humor. They're businessmen that this happened to podcasts, but they're both businessmen. That's why I got nothing but the highest respect for those two black men. Nothing but respect. And we were pretty much spot on what was going on. And I think, a lot of it was, well, you're console warring and things like, which I will admit, I've admitted my fault in adding to the console war. I did it as well. When my channel first started to gain subs, I was console warring. I mean, I'm going to admit that. But I stopped at about 2000. I really was putting the brakes on. And then finally by 21, I'm like, yeah, I'm done console warring. It's just, there's no console war. If Sony is putting up these type of numbers, Microsoft is going to eventually capitulate. And 36 months later, here we are. And I told you it was going to happen. Gears is coming. Gears, Halo, and Ori are all coming. And again, Gears is a quality IP. I mean, if you don't like it, you don't like it, but you'll never be able to say it's a bad quality. It's never been. Gears of War kind of set the stage on some of the stuff we're seeing now. Another game that may be coming back to PlayStation is Full Spectrum Warrior. That was only on Xbox. That may come back to Xbox. Full Spectrum Warrior. You can look that up. That was kind of that was more of a sim. It was fun. It was fun though. It was fun. But yeah, Gears is coming. I don't know if it's gonna be 1 through 5. It could just be Gears Judgment or Gears. What is it? Gears Tactics is supposed to come. Gears Tactics, Halo Wars, Gears 1, 2, and 3, Microsoft Flight Sim. That's all coming. Yeah, if Gears comes, I like the Gears series, even though I like Gears Judgment and I'm in the minority. It's like the new Halo games. I enjoyed Halo 4, 5. I played a little bit of the one that's out now, but Halo 4 and 5 I actually thought was really good. They really took the story. I mean, they really took it to a point where I was like, I'm really interested in what's going to happen next. So, but I like sci-fi stuff anyway. So, you're too old to console war. It's a bit childish. It is when I look back on it, when I'm listening to people who are still console warring, I'm like, man, you sound like a nub, man. But that's what they do. There are people who have been console warring since the PS3. They were in those chat rooms or those, whatever those are called. I forgot what they're called. It was one called System Wars, and they were just, the PS3 people were getting flamed by the 360. I saw it, but I remember console warring. I do remember it, and I had my 360 and I'm like, man, who would buy a PS3 and all that kind of stuff? That's the way I was, right? I mean, I've had the 360 and I went out and bought the CD player, the CD-ROM. And then, then Sony pulled the whole card and said, oh no, everything's going to go to Blu-ray, and they're part of the Blu-ray committee. And then when that happened, it made regular CDs look pedestrian. So that's what happened with that. So, but yeah, so those games are coming. You just have to bide your time with them. But I'm going to jump on off here. I will probably Gamecast on Saturday. And Sunday is Easter Sunday, so I'm taking off, brother. Going to watch some basketball, things like that. And the tournament starts up tomorrow night, Sweet 16, college Sweet 16. We have our own high school basketball tournament in Lexington called the Sweet 16. It's the top. They take the top 16 teams that come out of each of our regions, and they play in a tournament downtown. So nothing wrong with the console war. Oh yeah, I'm not throwing it under the bus. I did it. I just can't do it no more. Like, I'm not, if you're here to hear me console war, I'm not going to do that. That's just something that I have made a decision to just kind of get away from. There is no console war. Where's the war? Okay, Sony won. Microsoft bent the knee. What else is there? What else is there? So, but yeah, all right, guys, I'm gonna get on off here. Shout out to everybody that's still console warring. I just can't do it anymore. I don't have the energy or the patience to this console war. So, the Nintendo one won't prove Nintendo fans do not console war make podcasts. As far, well, that's fine if you want to say Nintendo one. I mean, I don't, fine. Nintendo's made everything Nintendo has made is done well. So even the movies that they're starting to do are doing pretty good. So it is what it is. But hopefully you all go see Kong and Zilla, whatever that's called, the New Kingdom, whatever it's called. I'm going to go see that tomorrow night. I got my ticket for $7.45. So I'm excited about that. $7.45. See Godzilla and Kong. So, all right then, guys. I'm going to jump on off here. I do appreciate you being here. You all have a good one. You all stay safe. And